Next one here is, should I use kids' content as a first domain? Refold seems to recommend moving to native slice of life TV shows for adults as soon as possible, um, but before reaching 5 to 6 comprehension in much more basic content. If strong listening comprehension is so important to overall progress, why skip to adult materials before you feel like you've got a really good grasp of the very basic stuff? I like to use most of what I read and watch as passive listening audio later, and I feel like I'm wasting my time when doing that with adult TV shows. In contrast, I can get a lot from kids' content because there's only 1 to 3 unknown words per minute. I'm comprehending more sentences when passively listening and much more easily able to hear and understand the words that I'm learning, that I'm still learning. Chinese has such a wealth of kids material that I can't fully comprehend native materials. So why would I want to move on to that slice of life adult content? Wouldn't the smoothest and quickest path be to mastering a wide variety of kids content, just as a native child might do?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a perfectly legitimate approach if you want to stay with easier kids content. Kids content is native content. It's just easier. And it's usually slower paced. And the only danger with it is that it uses language that is not common in adult content and you won't be coming across often. That's more of a problem with like baby level. In the guide, we talk about this sort of adolescent range where it's like 7 to 10-year-old is the target demographic. And that's sort of really perfect content to get started with. So for me, that was Avatar: The Last Airbender. Like I watched that twice in Spanish and then I re-listened to the audio of that probably 3 times. And by the third listen of that, though, I was not getting anything out of it. You very quickly level up through that. So you don't want to stay in it until you're like perfect, because that's sort of when you're wasting your time. But if you're at a level where native content is like way too hard and you don't feel like you're getting anything out of it, and you have a wealth of kids content you're enjoying and that you are understanding, then yeah, 100% go down that route. Just don't stay in there forever. Remember, at some point you need to level up. So you don't want to get stuck in sort of a safe zone and then always be scared to move on to something that's harder.
To use another, I guess, personal anecdote from my Czech learning, I am using adult sort of slice of life TV show sitcom, but I'm doing it much more slowly and working on every sentence mining, that sort of thing. But when I'm switching to sort of full listening, I'm also planning to incorporate a lot of these fairy tale movie TV shows. I think they're mostly movies from all over Europe. It seems like there's a bunch of these just general like fairy tales that are turned into movies. And I quite like that sort of thing. And I'm really excited to dive into that because they're for kids, but also for the whole family. And so they have easier language, and some of them are even dubs so that you get like that really crisp audio. So that I can, and none of them have subtitles, so I have to listen. So I'm personally really looking forward to doing that because it will be a little easier, but also a little harder at the same time, and still has this interest and cultural significance to the language. And so, especially if you can find fun and engaging stuff, like Ethan said, I think that can actually just be a really motivational as well, because you do understand more and you're like, okay, I'm actually getting the entirety of this TV show rather than like a couple of lines here and there.
Yeah, cool. And then if you sort of look at like what people do right now, especially in the Japanese community, a lot of anime is relatively simple. It's not super complicated. There are complicated ones like Attack on Titan, but and like Death Note, but the average anime is much simpler than 2 natives talking to each other. So they're already doing that. They're not doing it with like kids shows. It's just that the adult the content that is meant for adults is often very simple, just in the anime genre. I don't know if that's true in I think they said they were studying Mandarin, correct?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if that is true in the animated shows in Mandarin, or in native TV shows, whatever it is. So sticking with kids content is a sort of the equivalent thing to just using an easier piece of content for adults.
Yeah, just looking at like the JPDB, some of these anime seem to have like only a couple hundred words. Sure, it looks like they're like one episode, but that's so different from somebody's conversation about their trip to the countryside with their family and what they did for the holiday.
Sure,
Like,
sure, sure.
there's going to be so many random little words in there.
Mhm.
But so that's a good example.
Hey, as you know, there's a lot of language learning advice out there, which can make it kind of overwhelming and difficult to actually get going on your own learning. If you feel like you're struggling to figure out language learning, you're not alone. It's an extremely complicated process with tons of different steps. If you're looking for a step-by-step guide to create the perfect language learning routine for you, then you have to check out our new course. We spent thousands of hours designing a simple and straightforward process that you can use to create your own personalized language routine that actually works. We understand that every learner is different and that you have to roll with the punches and adapt. Every day for 30 days, I walk you through everything you need to know to build an effective learning routine, no matter your circumstances. We give you the advice and resources you need to ensure your success, so you don't have to waste time looking for stuff to do and can focus on learning. And if any questions do come up, don't worry. We are always there to answer any questions and clear up confusion. And it's all backed by our 90-day, no questions asked, money-back guarantee. If, for whatever reason, something's not quite working for you, we insist you get every penny back. It's time for you to stop wishing that you could learn a second language. It's time to become the master of your language learning journey. Check out the link below to get instant access and start your journey today.